so you should respect my decision. Furthermore, your actions about what happened really hurt me. If I had neither cared nor think of you as a friend, it would not have hurt me. I am really sorry that I have not been around much to hang out with you. Despite what happened, I hope we can still be friends. T. Sinedu's sense of rejection intensified and she further withdrew. Her worst fear was being realized. She was being left to float in the roommate pool for senior year, to be paired with a young stranger with whom she knew she would have little in common. Her journal read, quote, "The bad way out I see is suicide and the good way out killing, savoring their fear and then suicide. But you know what annoys me the most? I do nothing. You think I was both handcuffed and leg-cuffed to a couch stuck in the ground." Just a few weeks later, and finals were afoot, with Memorial Day weekend marking the students' last days on campus for the year. Unbeknownst to everyone but her and her instructors, Sinedu skipped several exams for the first time in her academic career. She had been receiving counseling since freshman year through University Health Services, but they weren't equipped to diagnose or treat whatever issues Sinedu seemed to be suffering from. Some of her complaints could present as though she were having adjustment issues in her new country, and with the amount of students they had to deal with, not much time was given to her appointments. As the school year wound down, Sinedu began to tie up loose ends. She sent gifts to relatives and had brunch with a friend from back home. He had never seen her this happy, though he had known her many years. That was the week that she got medical excuses for missing both her chemistry and then her neurobiology exam, as well as dropped a photo and a note off to the school paper, the Harvard Crimson. The glammed-up pic was taken of Sinedu in high school and was delivered in an envelope labeled important, with a typed note that read, "Keep this picture. There will soon be a very juicy story involving the person in this picture." They ended up throwing it away. It had no sinister implication and it just didn't mean anything to them. As for Trang, she had been having a much better week. By Friday, May 26th, her best friend Tao had come to spend the weekend to help her pack and move out of Dunster House for the year. Trang and Sinedu still had a physics final scheduled for Saturday, which Trang attended. Once that was over, Trang and Tao headed out to celebrate with one of her new roommates for the next year. Then they watched a movie in a friend's room before heading to bed around 2 a.m., laying heads to feet side by side in Trang's bed as they always did with their friends and sisters. When an alarm rang out at 8 a.m. on Sunday morning, May 27, 1995, Trang told Tao it wasn't for them and to go back to sleep, but as they did, Tao heard shuffling and realized that they were under attack. Sinedu was upon them, stabbing Trang relentlessly as she tried to shield the blows with her hands. Tao attempted to get the knife, but her arm and foot were slashed in response. All she could think to do was get help, so she ran, screaming all the way out of Dunster House, which was just about empty for the summer. In the courtyard, passers-by tended to her and called for help for Trang, who was locked inside H21 with her attacker. By the time campus police and Cambridge police arrived, 20-year-old Trang Ho was dead from 45 stab wounds to practically every part of her body. Trang had been killed by a stab to each lung and one through the left ventricle of her heart. Her body was found on Sinedu's side of the suite, lying face up next to her bed on the floor. It was unknown if she had tried to escape or if she had been dragged there by her killer, as her friend Tao believed. Given the brutality of the violence she had witnessed and herself experienced, Tao did not find it possible that Trang could have walked away from that attack, much less had the strength and opportunity to even stand up. 19-year-old Sinedu Tadesse was found in the bathroom. A rope had been cut to length and connected to the sturdy old-fashioned shower curtain rod, the remainder coiled neatly and placed in a cabinet. Sinedu hung herself before police entered their dorm, and she was pronounced dead shortly after. Trang Ho's murder marked the only time a student murdered another student in all of Harvard's history. 2 years later, 2 graduates, class of 1993, died by murder-suicide while living in California, where the victim was attending Stanford Medical School. Then, in 2009, 21-year-old Justin Crosby was shot and killed in his dorm room at Kirkland House in a drug deal gone awry. In April of 1995 alone, Dunster House had had 2 suicides related to it, and they were only separated by 2 days. The headmaster was frazzled and out of his depth. He had also dealt with multiple suicide attempts. He had almost been the first in Harvard history to be fired from a head-of-house position following a nepotistic staffing scandal regarding the house tutors. The master of Dunster House had barely come out unscathed when Sinedu had been left to spiral uncontrolled, leading to the heinous and tragic murder of the girl she had once considered to be the answer to all of her problems. Though Harvard's motto was Veritas, after the Roman goddess and Latin for truth, the university did not go out of their way to act like it. Campus police and administrators did little to provide official information to anyone else, as the DA's office and Cambridge police were used to. Trang's father, mother, and sisters, and her best friend Tao Win, the lone survivor of Sinedu's attack, found it hard to lead happy lives after Trang was killed, since she was no longer able to. Trang's family and friends loved her in a way that Sinedu knew she had never even felt, but yearned to. Following the murder-suicide, Sinedu's family and extended Ethiopian community found it difficult to believe that she was capable of such brutality, even considering the constant, ruthless violence she had witnessed in her homeland throughout the entirety of her childhood. Her father told Melanie Thernstrom for her article and book that, quote, "I don't care what 100 police detectives or 1,000 psychologists tell me. I know my daughter did not commit these crimes. She has been framed and murdered." Though she was unable to translate words into action so much of the time, Sinedu possessed a level of self-awareness most of us never have the time or desire to achieve. Excerpts from one of those stranger letters, as well as from one of her diaries, read, quote, "I have been raised in what you might be able to call an abnormal situation. I don't understand what people mean by the warmth of a family, the love of their mother, and the security of their home. I grew up feeling lonely and cold amidst 2 parents and 4 siblings. I had no one to rely on for warmth. I failed to make friends over the years. I spent very little time with other families that it took me all my life to figure out what they had and what I did not have. My parents were shy and lonely. They kept away from the world. They did not want to face their problems. They pretended as if nothing was wrong. They fed us, bought us clothes, sent us to good schools, and wished us all the best. They never involved themselves in our emotional world. They acted as if emotions did not exist. All this time I blamed lack of money as a cause to all my troubles, but somewhere inside me I knew money would not have been all the answer to my problems, although life would have been better with money. I saw the answer in my parents. As long as I knew her, my mother never had a friend or close relatives. She avoided social occasions and kept herself busy with housework. We never had warm family days because all conversation was tainted with the irritating argument between my parents. They had nothing to talk about, so they picked on each other and on us. I never felt proud of my family. As a matter of fact, I never admired or respected myself. What my parents did not do for me was, they did not give me love. They did not make me feel important in their lives. They did not guide me in social life. They always told me and my siblings how other kids are much better than we are. They did not enjoy their lives. They nagged at us, they quarreled, abused us emotionally. There was no comfort to seek from them, no warmth. Life was cold and hopeless and annoying. Do not get me wrong, I do not blame them for all they did. They did not know how else to be. They repeated their parents' history. I don't want to be a third generation of misfits.